This is the school food waste and composting training. Let's dive in with Corey, the compost worm.
Greetings. I'd like to share with you today a publication that the NRRA, the Northeast Resource Recovery Association, produced in 2018 with the help from the USDA. But what we're going to do today is we're just going to run through a few of the highlights to let you see this lovely publication that many people have joined together to create. So let me just give the acknowledgements to those that helped us create this. The first edition of this guide was written in 1997. It was made possible by the relentless dedication and enthusiasm of the Belmont High School and New Boston Central School in New Hampshire, their students and staff, especially the kitchen staff and administrators. Now, 2 decades later, it continues to help schools implement their on-site school composting programs. For this edition, NRRA wants to recognize the technical expertise of Kat Duffy Buxton of Grow More Waste Less Food Systems Consulting, who runs the Edible Schoolyard and Compost System at Thetford Elementary School, Thetford, Vermont. The introduction, simply, we have the students as being great recyclers. They recycle their aluminum cans and they recycle their paper. But what about their food waste, those cafeteria leftovers from preparing the students' breakfast and lunch? This material can be recycled through composting. Just a thought, a few little facts here. The One California Waste Generator study showed that students generate 37.3 pounds of organic waste per year, making it almost half of the total waste generated at a school. And that's from the California Department of Resources. There are other studies that examine why students throw away perfectly good food, but one thing is for sure, the United States has a school food waste issue. Food waste leads to increased waste disposal costs and wasted food budget funds, not to mention the environmental costs of sending food to sit in a landfill. States and organizations are considering this issue and coming up with a variety of solutions. And as we can see, the EPA has created this food recovery hierarchy as one of the solutions to bring attention to how we should be managing our food, starting, of course, with source reduction, and then the last one would be landfill and incineration. So composting is one such solution that can be combined with other food waste reduction techniques while enhancing school project-based curriculum. The food hierarchy that I just mentioned, the last step is compost, or actually the very last step would be landfill incineration. But composting is considered the last step. We try to do source reduction first, then feeding hungry people. So in a school, that would be a share table. Feed animals. Many schools will have programs where there's chickens or pigs that they can feed. Then there's the industrial uses, using it for food scraps for digestion to recovery, so that's your anaerobic digestion. And then the composting, which is what we're here to talk about today, is composting at the school. Decomposition is nature's way of recycling. It is the natural biological process of organic materials, that's food, leaf, and yard waste, breaking down into a valuable soil amendment, just as a leaf does on the forest floor. Composting is managed decomposition using a balanced recipe of ingredients, water, and lots of air to encourage aerobic microorganisms to break down organic matter quickly. Composting these organic materials not only saves money by reducing the school's disposal costs, the process can also strengthen an environmental science program with hands-on science activities and provide the baseline data for enhancing project-based math curriculum. Educators can play a major role in teaching students about the values of composting, both in the school and at home, while providing a great example of natural life cycle. I love setting up composting in schools because of that, because it is a great example of the natural life cycle. It pulls together many, many talents, many divisions of your school. Just to reiterate, school composting can reuse that organic material, saves money by reducing the school's waste disposal costs, creates a valuable soil amendment for planting or mulching, closing the food loop, put it back on the garden, provide an opportunity for students to study the biology and chemistry of how the composting process works, provide students with an example of a natural life cycle, restore biological soil health, improving natural nutrient cycling, improve the way water functions in landscapes, reducing the effects of flooding and drought, create a relevant entry point into discussions of changing climate, carbon and nitrogen cycles, methane and carbon dioxide emissions, and the greenhouse effect. It reduces greenhouse gas emissions, the CO2 from trucking and the CH4 from landfill emissions, catalyze a human understanding of the role of soil health as a framework for functioning health ecosystems. Best of all, it empowers students to feel that they can help make a difference. The student experience is greatly enhanced with cross-cutting project-based learning that offers practical hands-on application of knowledge. Composting at school offers ample opportunity to dig into physical and biological sciences, mathematics, current and historical global studies, problem solving, public service, and environmental stewardship. There is a rich history of how humans have managed and recycled waste all over the globe, with plenty of successes and failures to draw from. So just to reiterate, composting not only will help with what is going on with your school environment, funding problem-wise, finances, just as well as we mentioned, learning experiences. It does also address the global problems of soil health and the global food waste problem. Just a little fact here, 30 to 50% of the food produced never makes it to the mouths of people and animals. It gets wasted in farm fields, in food processing and distribution, in the retail environment, and in homes all across the world. It is estimated that food waste generated in the U.S. alone could fill the Rose Bowl every day. The work that Kat Buxton provided for adding to this very ancient guide has been really, really helpful. And these are two examples of what she put into it. The lifeline of the compost pile at the schools, regular data collection of temperatures, moisture, and other observations can serve as the basis for your project-based math education, exploring the scientific principles to solve problems, and collecting student feedback to improve the school-wide materials collection and compost system. There is also the need to, temperature, checking the temperature for, do you have enough heat for the compost? Temperature below 90 degrees indicate that the pile is not actively composting. And then there's a list of reasons why that could be. And above 150 indicates that the pile is too hot and should be turned to avoid burning up the big and little microorganisms. We also have many pages on the compost bin. The need of a school compost bin are not very different than your household backyard. Issues to consider when deciding what type of compost bin are right for a school include the quantities of food waste generated, attracting wild animals to the school, and extra finances to buy or build a compost bin. And there's many diagrams and pictures of how creative schools can get with building their compost bin, and also this lovely chart of knowing what type of bin size your school may need depending on the number of students. So the chart to the right will help you determine the size, number of bins, total cubic feet of space you will need to manage your compost, and be able to turn piles as needed. Questions, you can contact NRRA, info@nrrarecycles.org, or better yet, go online, nrrarecycles.org, and go right to the school club tab and those pages there. Have a great day.